The trailer for Outlander, Blood of My Blood Episode 6 wastes no time. From the very first second, it grabs us by the throat and refuses to let go. Julia is in labor, her cries filling the room, and we know instantly that this is not just another dramatic moment. This is life and death. This is the moment that could change everything for the Fraser family and alter the course of the entire story. Her pain is raw, the fear is real, and the stakes have never been higher. This is not only about one woman giving birth, it's about survival, legacy, and the dangerous truth of what it meant to bring life into the world in the 18th century. The trailer opens with intensity, showing Julia struggling through childbirth, and it doesn't hold back. In those few seconds, the audience is thrown into an atmosphere heavy with dread. This is not the kind of birth scene filled with smiles and joy. Instead, it is dark, risky, and filled with the terrifying uncertainty of whether Julia, or her baby, will survive. Outlander reminds us of one powerful truth: in this time period, giving birth was never safe. Every scream Julia lets out carries the weight of life hanging by a thread. The candlelit room where the birth takes place feels claustrophobic. Shadows flicker against the walls, the whispers of midwives surround Julia, and yet the silence in the air is louder than anything else. The camera holds close on Julia's face, forcing us to experience the pain with her. The trailer deliberately avoids music here. There are no comforting sounds, no swelling score. Instead, all we hear are Julia's labored breaths, her cries, and the hushed tension of those around her. This choice makes the scene almost unbearable to watch, but that's exactly the point. Outlander has always thrived on raw realism, and this trailer is proof. One of the most striking moments is Julia's hand reaching out in desperation. It's a small gesture, but one that carries deep symbolism. Is she searching for comfort? Is she clinging to life itself? The image is powerful because it embodies everything Outlander stands for: the fight for survival, the bond between family, and the unbreakable will to keep going even when hope seems thin. That single shot raises endless questions. Will Julia make it through this? Will the baby live? And if they do survive, what ripple effect will this birth create for everyone tied to her story? The trailer also gives us glimpses of the people around Julia. Their eyes reveal more than their words. Fear, helplessness, and anticipation mix together in a room where everyone is holding their breath. These flashes remind us that Julia's fate is not just her own. Every person connected to her, family, lovers, and protectors, will feel the consequences of this night. Outlander has always shown that individual struggles shape entire generations, and Julia's childbirth is a perfect example. The weight of this single moment extends beyond her pain. It is about the future of the Fraser legacy. Then, just when the tension feels unbearable, the trailer cuts quickly to the image of a newborn wrapped in cloth. It's only a second, almost too quick to process, but it confirms that the baby has been born. Relief flickers for an instant, but it doesn't last. The trailer refuses to answer the biggest questions: is Julia alive? Is the baby healthy? That uncertainty is the heartbeat of this preview. We are left dangling between hope and dread, caught in the same impossible waiting game as the characters on screen. This is masterful editing, the kind that makes you desperate to see what comes next. What also stands out is who isn't there. We see no clear signs of Jamie or Claire during this sequence. Their absence is no accident, it's deliberate. Outlander trailers are famous for keeping key details hidden, and leaving them out only deepens the suspense. Where are they in this critical moment? Will they arrive too late? Or will their presence be felt only in the aftermath? This silence about their role makes the birth scene even more intense, reminding us that Julia is at the center of her own storm, facing danger with no guarantee of rescue. The section ends with Julia's cries fading into silence. For a brief moment, we see her face drenched in sweat, exhausted, and completely drained. But the trailer doesn't answer the one question we are desperate to know: did she survive? That ambiguity is what makes this trailer unforgettable. Outlander gives us just enough to feel the weight of the scene but holds back the resolution. it forces us to sit with the fear, the hope, and the uncertainty, exactly as the characters themselves would. This first glimpse of episode 6 makes one thing clear: this is not an ordinary installment. Julia's labor is not just about bringing a child into the world, it is about survival, family, and the enduring fight to keep hope alive in a time where life and death were always side by side. Episode 6 is being set up as a turning point, and the trailer ensures that we, as viewers, cannot look away. The trailer doesn't stop with Julia's birth. Instead, it throws us into the emotional aftermath, where uncertainty rules every frame. Outlander has always thrived on the collision between joy and tragedy, and here, both are tangled together in a way that feels almost unbearable. We see flickers of what follows: the quiet, the silence after the storm, and the look of terror in the eyes of those around Julia. Birth has happened, but survival is not yet guaranteed. The baby may be alive, but what about Julia herself? That is the central question the trailer plants deep inside the minds of its audience. As the tension mounts, a voiceover cuts through the silence. It's not Julia's voice, it belongs to someone close to her, perhaps a family member or protector, who speaks of sacrifice and destiny. This voiceover feels heavy, almost like a warning, reminding us that nothing comes without cost in the world of Outlander. Every gain brings a loss, and every new beginning carries the shadow of an ending. By placing these words over images of Julia's fragile state, the trailer creates a haunting question: who will be lost in order for this child to live? The camera work here is deliberate. We're shown the baby only in fragments: a small hand, a tiny face hidden beneath cloth, a fleeting glimpse of fragile life. This choice is brilliant because it forces us to feel protective, just as the characters in the story do. The baby's presence isn't just about new life, it's about the continuation of a bloodline, the survival of a legacy, and the hope of a family caught in turmoil. But the way these shots are framed makes it clear that danger still lingers. This is not a safe world for children, and every viewer knows it. One of the most powerful beats in the trailer is the shift in focus from Julia's immediate suffering to the larger consequences of her child's birth. We see faces of people reacting, some with joy, some with dread, some with shock. This suggests that the arrival of Julia's child is not just personal, but political. In the Outlander universe, every child represents lineage, power, and history. And Julia's baby could change everything. Whispers in the trailer hint at conflict. What will this birth mean for alliances, for bloodlines, for the fragile balance already holding these families together? The trailer plants seeds of intrigue that promise episode 6 will not only be emotional but also explosive. There's also a subtle sense of foreshadowing woven throughout. The trailer gives us moments of stillness: an empty hallway, a door slightly ajar, a candle flickering out. These shots don't tell us much, but they feel like warnings. Something more is coming, something darker than just the pain of childbirth. Outlander has a way of weaving tragedy into triumph, and by showing us these images without explanation, the trailer hints that Julia's story may not end with the baby's cry. It may instead open the door to even more suffering, betrayal, or danger that will strike when least expected. Another layer of suspense comes from the absence of answers. The trailer gives us no direct confirmation of Julia's survival, no clear look at her strength or recovery. Instead, it lingers on the silence of the people around her. Their expressions, fear, awe, or worry, speak louder than words. Some look at the baby as though it's a miracle. Others look at Julia with uncertainty, as if waiting for her final breath. This emotional conflict keeps us trapped in the middle, unable to decide whether to celebrate or mourn. And that is exactly where the show wants us: restless, unsettled, and desperate for episode 6. But beyond the personal story, the trailer also teases that Julia's child is more than just a baby, it is a symbol. The baby represents continuation, the unbroken chain of the Fraser legacy, and the hope for survival in a brutal world. Yet at the same time, the trailer makes it clear that this child could bring division, danger, and questions about who truly holds power. In the Outlander world, lineage is everything, and Julia's child may carry secrets or consequences that ripple across every character we know. The section closes with a haunting image, Julia's eyes half open, her breath shallow, while the cries of the newborn echo in the background. That single contrast, life beginning as another life seems to slip away, captures the essence of Outlander storytelling. The trailer does not confirm her fate. It forces us to live in the space between hope and despair. And that is why episode 6 already feels like one of the most unforgettable chapters of this series. The deeper we look into the trailer, the clearer it becomes that Julia's shocking birth is not just a turning point for her, but for everyone around her. Outlander thrives on the ripple effect. One event, one choice, one life can shift the entire course of history. And Julia's child feels like the very heartbeat of that idea. The way the trailer frames the reactions of others tells us everything. Each person sees something different in this child: hope, fear, responsibility, or even threat. And those conflicting emotions are going to ignite the next stage of this story. There's a moment where we hear whispered words, spoken almost like a prophecy. It is not loud, but it lingers in the mind long after. The words suggest that this child carries more weight than anyone realizes. Perhaps it is tied to destiny, perhaps to bloodlines, or perhaps to a truth that has been hidden until now. Outlander has always played with the idea of fate versus choice, and here, the birth of Julia's child feels like a moment where both collide. Was this always meant to happen, or is it the result of dangerous choices made in the past? The trailer doesn't tell us, but it invites us to question everything. Julia herself remains at the center of this storm. Even in her weakness, her presence dominates the screen. There's a fragility about her that makes us ache, but at the same time, there's strength in her survival up to this point. We've seen characters in Outlander face unthinkable trials, but Julia's ordeal feels more personal, more intimate, and more devastating. The trailer teases us with glimpses of her eyes, sometimes closed, sometimes open, sometimes filled with pain, sometimes filled with something that looks like resolve. It's impossible to know if she will live, but it's also impossible to ignore her fight. And that tension is what keeps the story alive. The reactions of the people around her are no less gripping. Some faces are streaked with tears, others with determination. A few seem to already be preparing for loss, while others refuse to give in to despair. These contrasts reveal the complexity of Julia's relationships. She is not just one woman, she is the heart of a family, a symbol of loyalty, and a connection to something much larger than herself. This is why her struggle matters so much, because it is not only about her survival, but about the survival of everything tied to her. The baby, though silent except for its cries, becomes a character in its own right. Outlander has always given children a symbolic weight, and this newborn is no exception. Wrapped tightly, shielded from the dangers of the world, the child is both fragile and powerful. The camera's choice to never linger too long on the baby suggests mystery, something unknown, something yet to be revealed. It makes us wonder, what role will this child play in the future? Is this baby destined to heal old wounds, or will it create new ones? That unspoken question fuels much of the suspense. The trailer also drops hints of conflict that extend beyond the walls of Julia's chamber. Snippets of dialogue, shadowed figures in corridors, and the sound of heavy footsteps remind us that life outside continues, and it may not be welcoming. Julia's child is not born into safety, it is born into uncertainty, politics, and danger. The show is reminding us that no life is untouched by the broader struggles of clans, alliances, and enemies. This baby may become the center of a storm far larger than the intimate moment of its birth. What makes the trailer so brilliant is the way it leaves gaps, spaces where our imagination fills in the terror. It doesn't need to show us betrayal, violence, or heartbreak, it only needs to suggest it. A candle blown out. A door closing too quickly. A shadow moving in silence. These small touches are more chilling than any outright scene of danger because they whisper of what might come. Episode 6 promises not only emotional heartbreak but also the creeping threat of forces we cannot yet see. And then there is the question of Julia's future. If she survives, how will this experience change her? Trauma in Outlander is never brushed aside, it shapes characters, defines their choices, and lingers like a scar. Julia's birth may leave her broken, or it may forge her into someone stronger than ever before. But if she doesn't survive, the emotional fallout will be devastating, not just for her loved ones, but for the entire fabric of the story. Either way, Episode 6 is poised to leave a mark so deep that the series itself will never be the same again. The section ends with a silence, the kind that speaks louder than screams. Julia's breath hangs between life and death. The cries of her child echo in the distance. And the faces of those watching tell us everything we need to know. Nothing in Outlander will ever be simple again. Julia's shocking birth has changed everything. The only question that remains is, how much more will it take? The trailer closes with a masterstroke of tension, an ending that does not give answers, but instead deepens every question. Julia's shocking birth has already altered the story, but Episode 6 hints that this is only the beginning. Outlander has always thrived on the delicate balance between love and loss, fate and freedom, and in this moment, that balance feels more fragile than ever. One of the final images shows Julia lying still, her child cradled near her, the candlelight flickering around them. It's not just a scene, it's a question carved into silence. Is Julia alive, or is this the last image of her we will ever see? The trailer doesn't reveal it, and that deliberate uncertainty is what makes it unforgettable. The creators know the power of leaving us hanging, and they wield it with precision. We are left clinging to every frame, desperate for a clue, but there are none. Only silence, only shadows, only the weight of possibility. The voices around Julia also fade into something sharper. We hear fragments of vows, whispered prayers, and a single sentence that feels like it will echo through the entire season: this child will change everything. It is a prophecy, a warning, and a promise all at once. The question is not whether it will come true, but how. Will the child unite broken families, or will it ignite rivalries too dangerous to contain? The trailer leaves this hanging, daring us to imagine the fallout. But Outlander is never just about individuals, it is about bloodlines, legacies, and the eternal tug-of-war between past and future. Julia's child represents more than survival, it represents continuity. Every generation in this story carries the scars and hopes of the last, and this baby may carry both more heavily than anyone else. The stakes are not only personal, they are historical. Every decision that follows will ripple outward, shaping not just lives, but entire destinies. And then there's the looming shadow of sacrifice. The trailer doesn't say it outright, but the way characters look at one another tells us that choices will need to be made. Hard choices. Life and death choices. In true Outlander fashion, love will be tested, loyalties will be questioned, and survival will demand a price no one is ready to pay. Julia's shocking birth is not an ending, it's the start of a chain reaction that will consume everyone. The editing of the trailer leans into this idea of inevitability. Quick cuts flash between Julia, the newborn, and the wider world beyond, storms gathering, footsteps in the dark, eyes filled with secrets. Every image feels like a warning, every silence like a scream. This is storytelling at its finest, where we know disaster is near, but we don't yet know its shape. And that is what makes Episode 6 so unmissable. By the time the trailer fades to black, the audience is left breathless. We don't know Julia's fate. We don't know if the child will be shielded or endangered. We don't know which alliances will hold and which will shatter. But we do know this: nothing will ever be the same. Julia's shocking birth has rewritten the rules of the game, and the story we thought we knew is no longer safe, no longer predictable, no longer certain. That's the power of Outlander: it draws us in with love, it shakes us with loss, and it keeps us suspended between hope and despair. Episode 6 promises to deliver all of that and more. Every frame of the trailer whispers that we're about to witness one of the most emotional and pivotal episodes yet. Julia's journey, the child's destiny, and the fate of everyone around them now hang in the balance. And we, as the audience, can only wait, hearts racing, breaths caught, until the truth is finally revealed.